In our last video, we developed a calculator to project a salary on a 10-year schedule given a starting salary and an annual raise percent. So now we want to make that a little bit more sophisticated, and this time instead of having the same raise every year, we want to do some simulation. So let's suppose there's a random chance with 10 different possibilities. So let's go out here to the salary forecast random raise and make a little table. Let's use kind of the side here starting in column G. I'm moving out there because we're going to have the main salary forecast over in the first few columns. So let's make a little table here like we have been doing for the deck of cards and so on. I'm going to do random number, make a column named random number, and we're going to have 10 possibilities. 1, 2, 3, all the way down to 10. And let's just make up 10 different raise percentages for these 10 years. And I'm going to format the column as percentage. So let's say if they draw a 1, they get a 0, they don't get a raise at all. This should be percent format, not currency. And let's say if they draw 2, they also get 0. So there's a 20% chance, if they draw 1 out of 2 out of 10, 20% chance of getting 0. So let's say there's also a 20% chance that they get a 1% raise. And let's fill 3 rows with 2% raise. And let's say there's a 20% chance that they get a 3% raise. And let's put in the possibility that they get, say, a promotion and they get a 10% raise. Okay, so this is our table of possibilities. And each year we'll draw a new random number, and they'll look up. So if they draw a 5, they'll get a 2% raise. If they draw a 3, they'll get a 1% raise, and so on. So let's copy in the data that we had in the fixed raise worksheet. I'm just going to copy this in. And we're not really going to be able to use all of it, but let's just copy it in to get started. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste to cell A1. And I'm also going to copy and paste the, I'm going to do the format painter. So I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to click Format Painter, which is that paintbrush up here. And whatever you click next is going to take on that format. So you have to be careful. So I'm going to go over here to columns A and B, and it automatically did clean up our formatting. But I'm going to insert a column here. So I'm going to click on column B, right click, and select Insert. And it's going to put a column in between. And I'm actually going to delete, I'm going to click on the delete key on my keyboard. It's going to mess this up. And I'm going to get rid of, I'm going to go to clear formatting for the selected range. So all we want to do is enter the salary. So I'm going to type a new column here called raise. And we're going to have this column have a percentage format. And now for each year 1 through 10, we're going to pick a random number from this table. For each year, and we're going to look up the value associated with that. So I'm going to go ahead and select this range and go to Formulas and define name, and I'm going to call it Raise Table. I have that area selected, so I'm going to click OK. And now I'm going to do a VLOOKUP with a ran between 1 through 10. We've done quite a few VLOOKUPs, so we're almost ready to do it just using the equal sign, but we'll use the function window here. So I'm going to select VLOOKUP. My lookup ran value is going to be ran between parentheses 1 comma 10. Whoops, I accidentally hit the enter, so I have to go back to the function window. I have to start over here. So once again, ran between parentheses 1 comma 10. Now I'm not going to hit enter. I'm going to use my mouse and go down to the table array, and I'm going to type raise table. And again, I get my headings over here, so I'm confident I spelled it right. My column index is going to be 2, and I want to do an exact lookup, so I'm going to type false. So I'm not sure what the random number it chose was. It was either 3 or 4, but I'm going to drag down. And each year it's going to compute a different raise. So now we have to compute the salary here. Actually, in year 1, we don't get a raise the way just to be consistent with the previous calculator. So in year 1, for the salary, I'm going to reference whatever the user entered. So in this case, 70,000. But in year 2, I'm going to compute the previous year's salary, which is C5, which is correct, times 1 plus C2, but now that is no longer relevant. I want to change this to look at the column to the left, which is now cell B6. So 3% of 70,000 is 2,100. So it looks like it's computing correctly. But now in each subsequent year, I no longer want the absolute reference because we want the formula, the contents of this formula to change as we're dragging down. So now we want the C5 to change to C6, and we want the B6 to change to B7. So as I drag down, all the numbers change. And of course yours are different since your spreadsheet is operating independently of mine. You have different random numbers and thus different lookups. But now we have the correct formulas in the forecast. So each entry for the salary references the year above. So for year 2, we're looking at C5, but we want the raise to be the contents of the cell beside it. So now if I enter a different salary, 100,000, I'm getting random numbers. This one, they were very lucky because they got 2 10% raises. So they made 130,000, but if we hit F9, they also got 2 10% raises. This one they didn't get any 10% raises, so they making a little bit less after 10 years. So anyway, we're modeling kind of the random chance of if you believe this is a realistic probability table of 10 different possibilities of different raises, then this would be how you would compute the forecast. All right, so that concludes this set of video tutorials where we explored the different uses of the VLOOKUP combined with random numbers and selected absolute and relative references along with a couple if statements. So hope you've enjoyed that. After you finish this week, you're ready to take the assignment for after week 2, Excel assignment 2, which is a calculator that I'm going to have a special video for that. You're also ready to do skills test 1, which has you'll see a review sheet for it. So in the first skills test, in 1 hour you'll have to do examples of the things we did in the first week's videos, the conditional formatting, the absolute and relative references, and the pivot tables, including all the variations of pivot tables, and the things we did in this week's set of videos, including the VLOOKUPs and the random numbers and so on. Okay, so good luck, and don't hesitate to email me with any questions, or not Skype, contact me on Google Hangouts if you want to have a conversation with me during office hours. So I look forward to hearing from you.